I love watching like language that kind of has felt awkward in the past start to get redefined. That's just like the narrative machine exists in crypto. I saw Alexia talk about moving from Phygital to connected or something like that. And I was like, oh, let's just get rid of Phygital, like for Christ's sakes. Like that's just like we back, baby. Episode 18.
Internet. That was legit.
Oh, Alex,
we don't fuck around here, man. We don't fuck around.
Look at what you're looking at on the screen here. Episode 18. Episode 18 of Internet Explorers every Friday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 Eastern, some other time, wherever you are in the world. I come to the show today with a mixture of excitement and anxiety, which is this feeling of, I think, almost bull market like. Is that the feeling? I don't know. There's just so much happening there. Maybe it's also the fact that we've just spent this last week talking to another 40 amazing teams, people who are kind of building the future and kind of look around the corner. Got a great show for you today. We're going to be chatting with Alex from Perl, who's building one such app. We got a little bit of a tease about some of the things that are happening in Joyland, if you've been following around on the internet. And then Josh has curated an absurd list of, I don't even know where we're going to go with it. There's just like each of those are rabbit holes in and of themselves. If you're hanging out on LinkedIn, to our one person who's on LinkedIn, come hang out at live.seedclub.xyz. Same if you're on Twitter. You can mint some NFTs. You can comment and see the ridiculousness in the chat. We got LDF in the chat. We got Lucas in the chat. We got Rekka in the chat. We got people out at Denver who are tuning in here. We'd love to see it. Peace. How we doing, man?
Insanely good. Josh's topics today got me fired up. I found myself forming opinions all week, and I don't know if it's euphoria or anxiety, but it rocks.
I was really hoping I was going to catch you with a mid-mouthful of salmon and green beans, but we didn't do it. How are we doing, Josh? You're surfing and sitting for 10 hours a day in a chair, and you're surviving?
My back is in the weirdest state it's ever been in, but we're energized. Yeah, we're good.
All right. Well, we've got a big show today, so let's jump into it.
Sick. Yes, we got Alex from Perl joining us. Alex, what up?
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I love the first encounters being on Internet Explorers. I been kind of admiring Alex, you and what you're building with Perl from afar for a while. So really wanted to bring you on to Internet Explorers for I guess two reasons. One, I just continue to be fascinated by prediction markets and the just the rapid experimentation that we're seeing right now. This being able to have these global liquid markets to bet on anything that can have a defined outcome is just opening up this massive design space. And I think we've truly barely scratched the surface with what's possible there. We have Polymarket, which is this very explicit implementation of it. But I'm really excited by the products like what you're building that kind of take this much more consumer friendly, vertical specific, social approach, and very much don't call themselves prediction markets. It's I don't know. I think I saw Alex Giovanni, I'm gonna mess that last name up. I think he called it fantasy social. So I think that's an interesting category. But anyway, so one, excited to dig into prediction markets and why you're building there and kind of your vision for them. And then I think second, just you guys have been putting on a masterclass of leveraging Farcaster to bring a product to market. And I think for months the entire product experience was facilitated through Warpcast. You can kind of one click place your bets there. And then I think just recently you've actually leveraged that into launching your own kind of standalone products. I'm really interested to kind of get into the mechanics there. But do you want to maybe to kick us off? Do you just want to kind of share a little bit about I guess your journey to Perl? Because I don't think you started at prediction markets, right? How did you get to where you're at?
Yeah, it's interesting because the origin of the company itself started from Farcaster too. Everything you see here is built by me and my co-founder Peter, and we both met in Farcaster 2022, and we started hanging out in LA. And we were just about to start the new company, and then we just decided to join forces as equal co-founders. And ever since, we've been building away, and including Dan Romero, there have been many angel investors that we only got to know because of Farcaster too, like Balaji and a few others. We haven't made the funding announcements yet because we are working towards our PMF. And actually, the entirety of last year was spent on 8 failed apps that just belly flopped right as soon as we launched. But we started as a social bookmarking app on chain, so a lot of people from Farcaster early days know about Perl as bookmarking version, and by the time they returned, they turned into something else. Little do they know that there were 4 versions of apps that were still named Perl. So we've been kind of keeping the brand and turning it into something else. And somewhere in the middle of it, we actually dabbled at a prediction market play of some sort, and it wasn't a full out version like this, but this one we started building towards because I mean so this is like 30th social app that I built or so, like might be even more, including smaller projects. And I think the market is very mature for flat social, meaning you post something like photo, video, text, and whatnot. And I've heard from many of my reputable friends in the space that what they see as the next big thing really is like something built around activity. Let's say you're going to like NASCAR racing, like something to enjoy together and build a social around this. So we looked at what's like omnipresent around everybody these days, and everybody's online, and social media is everybody's playground. So our goal eventually is to build something like Disneyland, not like casino, like Disneyland, where people come and play like with a little bit of skills written. You make bets on how things are going to turn out. It's like very untraditional in the sense that it's not just sports score. People can hustle to get like Mark Andreessen, for example, to cast. And it's happened through Fred Wilson and Vitalik and a few others. I have no idea who contacted them, but they did come back. So there's a lot of like unpredictable versions of like seeds floating around. So it's been fun so far. Yeah.
I love Fred's cast. I've been told I am supposed to cast a day, so I am casting.
It wasn't me. I don't think he answers me.
That's awesome. Can you just give us a kind of quick description of the state of the product right now? It's basically a like social media metric betting today, right? I guess like where do you? What's kind of like the near future vision for it? Is it just more markets, more lines, or does it look different in a hurry?
So our current absolute focus is to actually, so we haven't announced it yet, but we're going to announce something of an announcement partnership with DGen. And DGen, we've been actually really integrating into marketing campaign like from the early days of like just giveaways and things related to it. But we're going to let people wager using DGen. The ratio of Perl to DGen and all that is to be announced. We're still like considering different options, and given the number of Perls out there in circulation. So basically creating a profitable business out of this very simple structure of a product is what we're really looking for. I think once we achieve that, there's a sky's the limit on what kind of games we can provide and going wider when experimenting harder with lines and whatnot. So that's where we're at, just making it a profitable venture.
Got it. Cool. And it's the business model, just a transaction fee on bets placed?
Yes. I mean, that's what we're thinking, but it's subject to change like an hour later too, because it's just 2 people talking. So
I have a pretty high degree of confidence that that's going to work for you.
I mean, I think the interesting thing here is, we look at a lot of early stage companies, projects, founders, and I think, the fact that you've launched, I mean, you said at least 4 apps as Perls, but probably closer to 30, consumer experiments up into building this point, I think is the thing that we see very consistently across teams, right? So there's this like really unique challenge I think a lot of investors have at looking in the space, because very likely the thing that you're looking at when the pitch deck is created is often not the thing that ultimately gets product market fit. But I'm curious, do you sort of see like the crypto landscape or sort of building and the infrastructure that exists here uniquely enabling that sort of experimentation in a way? Is it easier or more profitable, more effective to be building in the space? Or do you, my sense is that there's something a little bit different here that allows you to kind of be more iterative as you build towards PMF.
Oh, you mean building on Farcaster?
I mean, just the open stack of sort of crypto generally.
Yeah, 100%. So like majority of last year we spent in just general consumer social. We built apps for teens, built apps for founders, investors, like all across like 8 total native apps. And what's actually very interesting about crypto is that regardless of the number of people on it, which is a decimal point compared to the global population, so to speak, there's the general tone and mood and etiquette around it is very transactionally fluid, meaning everybody's one tap away from exchanging value. By value, I mean NFTs and like coins and whatever it may be. Your wallet is always like handy as a default component of being on here, right? So that makes it just very interesting from the way we can twist it into business models, or even like just impulsive purchase on the go with something. And like the whole genre of this game itself is meant to be more fun than just serious like moneymaker. So I've been emphasizing that from the very beginning of it. Like for example, I dropped a lot of practice NFTs called like Cheese or Pearl Museums, and they don't offer any utility. They're just like out there to be just experimented upon. And even though I communicate that very clearly, people still mint it, right? So for example, from those like very experimental NFT drops that I've done, like without spending much time, generated around $24,000 for us to actually like purchase some more degen to ready our just ahead of a treasury ahead of the game. So we're definitely a beneficiary of the whole ecosystem molding together, and glad to be at the center of it, really.
So there was this great post, I think D from Zora put up around how to be a creative on chain, and I think that the top line was "Don't be precious." And I think that
Right.
sort of really describes a lot of what you're running at here. And I mean, yeah. How do you think about sort of this? I guess the tension between trying to put a really consistent, clear message and like reason for being around your product out in the world, while that also being in a space where you can continue to sort of experiment and not be precious about putting out different types of tokens, NFTs, gameplays, etc.
I'm totally not precious, as in like I'm much closer to the degen culture. Like I just because when I was a first-time founder, I wanted to make the world a better place, good ethos, and make people feel precious and whatnot. But honestly, like in practice, that is such a recipe for belly flop in most cases that I'm honest about the fact that like we don't know what's gonna work. So the only way to know is like place it in front of people and observe them actually interacting. And in the midst of such phase is when true like vision or delusion actually gets to you. And that's the phase we're trying to really kindle up every time we launch something. But we're always honest that like we don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know what's gonna win, but we do know what's gonna lose, at least internally. So we've been very decisive about the way we go about it.
Yeah, very sick. Can you talk a bit about how you oh, go ahead, Peace.
Sorry, can I play more than one hand here? Do I get to split my UPI?
Oh, actually, you can only wager once per game.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Can't hedge my bets here. All
Yeah.
right, I'm taking my UPI seriously. I'm trying to get this moon bag, man.
Peace is going deep on research. He's like,
right. I'm like, what's going on with Mark Andreessen on Farcaster anyway?
Right.
It's not looking good, guys.
And I've been doing this series of like welcoming back like these figures who aren't as active on it, and like I have no way to contact like Vitalik. Like I can DM him or something, but he's not gonna be influenced. So that the hustle and the unexpected outcome that can be wagered by people just so unpredictable that it makes the game more fun and interactive.
Is this someone being funny here? Like, how come it's a half cast? Like, can you just not pick zero?
Well, it has to
right,
be binary.
so-
you would go up.
So in the daily fantasy sports world, which my co-founder is much more savvy with, that's the norm. So at first we were doing whole numbers, but then by having 0.5 as the borderline, it can be that it's basically a sign that like, will Mark Andreessen post tomorrow or not, right? But if it's like, if the line is 0, then there's no like negative cast, right? And then if the line is 1, it has to be like 2 rather than 1. So the point is like the outcome can be a bit more sharply presented as options.
I just love that
Yeah.
Peace has never gone into the degeneracy of sports betting at
Never.
all.
No, I had no idea.
March Madness is coming up, so maybe we can bring you into that. You can get some lines up for you. You can make some calls. I feel like you'd be strangely good at it because of the lack of knowledge you have on the whole space.
He would certainly be better than me.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll get some beginner's luck. I'm gonna start here with some good old social betting. I'm gonna bet half the farm.
Mhm.
Good
I'm
stuff.
trying to stay in this. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see.
Yeah. So there's another game launching later today. It's gonna be a versus between two VC funds. So we like pitting the brands between against each other too. So we've done like MetaMask versus Rainbow or like founders of them and whatnot. So more to come, really.
That's cool. Yeah, Alex, can you talk about how you use Farcaster to bring this product to market? Because I think I was scrolling through some of your old kind of like early markets that you would just execute entirely on Farcaster, and you had like 20,000-30,000 people participating in that, which is like insane when you look at, I don't know, Polymarket, like hundreds of people participate in most. So I think like the distribution, like attention you're able to get by doing that, I think is super interesting.
Yeah.
And also very interested in like how you're thinking about now tapping into that like distribution you have and pulling them into a standalone product. So maybe just riff on that for a minute.
Right. So the way me and Peter work together is as soon as we decide on something, as he starts the first line of code, I start marketing, right? As in like I created a channel on WordCast, and the channel served as the waitlist that is publicly growing because the channel is not a siloed group chat, right? So it just keeps spreading as people post on it. So I encourage people to do that. And here's where DGen kicks in a bit, like with the giveaway marketing and whatnot, so that the channel is self-served as the waitlist for people to keep building on. So right around the launch time, we had about 1,500 people. And then for like a better method, I DM'd every single one just like manually, right? Upon our launch, all at the same time, and that created the initial like cold start momentum. And because that's around the time where Frame app actually happened, because we were actually building a native app at first, and then as soon as Frame happened, it was just like really simple to build it in like 48 hours, right? So we dropped it right away and started having that as the main product. But as for the custom bets and the deposit withdrawal and these complicated flows in the future needed a web app of some kind, and also frame apps are like anchorless, right? So we needed something to do like live counts and leaderboard and all these things a bit more robustly. So we created a web app to attach to it, and to overcome the limitation of the frame apps being a fleeting glory moment in the feed, we actually encourage people to just turn on notification on @Perl account. So we basically cobbled together different aspects of Farcaster into one cohesive flywheel, where a user starting their journey from joining to a user actually inviting another person was all very intentionally structured and streamlined. And it's been amazing at like launching something, because imagine Notion, right? You can do a lot of small things, like even though not as good as others, like, but all in one is like a huge advantage, right? So for Farcaster, having a landing page, having like a softcore version of your product, which is Frames app, which has become our like experimentation product stack fully for crypto native products. So I think all of these stacked together create a very compelling case for builders, where you build your audience, market it to them, and let out a soft version of the product, and then funnel them to the fuller version of the product. So that's a flywheel we intend to keep repeating going forward.
I'm curious. I mean, the meta in Farcaster right now is transactions. People are excited about that, and I think the spec has been iterated on over the last little while. I'm curious what that unlocks for you as you're building Perl.
Oh, what was the
sort of transactions within WordCast? The new spec that they're working on. Does that unlock new things for you, or how are you planning?
100%. Yeah, I liken it to back in the days when Apple Pay and Stripe and all this seamless one-touch payout was a thing. People just transacted less. Like it's a very simple equation of one more touch, one more click required, like churning in double digit, like pretty simple and straightforward, right? And on Farcaster, even for NFT drops, the little like cheese thing that I did, I don't think they would have stood a chance if it was like pop out, pop in like 100 million times before you actually mint something. You don't even know where it goes. But on Farcaster, one tap and you have it in the NFT section, and it can post it to the feed through notification. And like again, it's like an all-in-one moment, right? So basically, that's what we're trying to foster through the product DNA. Yeah.
Alex, how successful have you been so far in getting the people who have been playing the game and interacting with it on Farcaster into your product? Like, is that a decent funnel? Is that very hard?
Actually, very successful. As in, like, you might have seen like some of the likes and request counts on the actual Perl account going slightly down. It's because like we've onboarded actually more people using the web app than just interacting with frame apps. As in, people who didn't get to bet would come and watch the game live. So the web app transition has been very successful, and we'll continue to evolve the frame app on Farcaster as a way to have casual gamers engaged and also acquire new users.
Got it. Very cool.
So what's next? What do we have to look forward to?
DGen betting. I mean, when skin is in
What
the
else do you
game.
need? What else do you need? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, beyond DGen in the future can be even like more forms of rewards and incentives for the users. And but like the way me and Peter work together really well is like we can have something like Disneyland as a very meta, like a long-term goal, but we really focus on one milestone at a time. And right now it is to turn this DGen betting into like a profitable business for this to double down on and grow wider on. Like until then, we intend to go a little deeper till we crack the code.
Got it. Well, I see our next topic is enjoy. So maybe we have something to do together in the future. I think there's some cool collaboration to be had here. Alex, appreciate you coming and hanging out with us and sharing the vision of Perl, man. It's yeah, I think it's so important for us to be able. It's exciting for us to be able to bring people who are like truly in the edges. You're building every single day, shipping every single day to the show. I think there's a lot of builders who watch this, and I think we'll be inspired by your story of just kind of continuing to iterate. I think that's clearly the path to finding PMF here. And I am not a user of the web app yet. I play within the frame, so I got to get on that and see if I can be a better judge of the social features than Peacenode is, because that's really what drives me. I just want to compete with my team. I'm trying to beat Josh at Draw the Chart. It is not going well right now, and I'm gonna have to see if I can beat Peacenode.
That's awesome. We can maybe do a versus one day of the you two and pitch you against each other or so. Like
I mean, I'm gonna dominate. I'm gonna.
Yeah, are you kidding me?
Get out of here. Not even fair.
So like, pitch you against like another fighter or something too.
There's a nice
whole team in. We can.
There's a nice underdog story there.
That's right.
Yeah.
People may rally, man. You never. You don't know.
Yeah. There have been many underdog wins, and I came close to beating Dan, but then once he put his totalers to sleep, he just came back and like crushed me with like an NFT drop. So it became like a story.
I wanted to take the under there, but there was just no way I was not betting on Dan to win.
Yeah, it's like the man's turf itself. So yeah. So it's been really fun. Let me know if you need anything, and looking forward to connecting again in the future.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. We'll release you to your DMs and database.
All right, back to the labor. All right, see ya.
Take care. All right.
Yeah, what was the framing that you used to describe fantasy social?
Fantasy social, yeah.
I kind of like that. I'm seeing this. I love watching like language that kind of has felt awkward in the past start to get redefined. Like that's just like the narrative machine exists in crypto. I saw Alexia talk about moving from Phygital to connected or something like that. And I was like, oh, let's just get rid of Phygital, like for Christ's sake. Like that's just like and I like this idea of fantasy social. I mean, we clearly see a lot of people that are kind of building in what we could describe as that category. So I think it's got legs.
Yeah, I like his point too of, it's funny, I've played fantasy sports my whole life, and I was almost thinking of how you can like game the like social outcomes as being like a negative in the betting world, but in fact it actually just adds this entirely new layer to like the gameplay, right? And just the like layers of interestingness that he was talking about happening.
You're not going to have an impact on an NFL outcome, right? Whether it's just a very limited set of people there, but in this big open sort of world that is the internet, it's everybody can kind of play. So that's that level of depth there that I think is interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, fantasy social, I like it too. All right. So what is this enjoy thing? So
wondering how you're going to set this up.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're if you're here and listening to us, you probably already know, but we're launching a meme coin. It's called Enjoy, and it's the first meme coin native to Zora Network. So we've kind of been like shooting the shit on this for a while. I think it was like, late last year, Jess, I don't know, we were just talking, kind of came up with the idea. But with recently Uniswap passed a proposal to actually launch an official deployment of the DEX on the network. So it really felt like the time was finally right to do this. Like we had been kind of going back and forth on all these weird, bonding curve mechanisms or things we could do to kind of get around needing a DEX. And it all just kind of felt like it potentially detracted from the experience. So now that, Uniswap's getting deployed, we thought the time was right to kind of run this experiment in there. And, we only had 50 SEO7 interviews over the last week and a half. So we had tons of spare time to, really spend on this. But I think really the high level thing here is we've just been, captivated by meme coin's natural ability to attract attention, seed community, signal belief, coordinate contribution towards a shared purpose, and really the strong culture and ecosystem that already exists around Zora just felt like this very ripe scene to launch something like this into, both to, reward people that have been contributing so much time to it, and also, as an effort to really just attract a bunch of new participants into the ecosystem. So, we've seen the monumental impact that Bonk had on Solana. We've seen the huge impact that DGen has had to attract, new waves of users into Farcaster. And, we want to see what happens to Zora Network if we do something like this. So yeah, we announced it, I think on socials a couple of days ago. It's been sick to see the immediate energy around it and just the onslaught of memes that have started flowing. I think Enjoy is even more memeable than we expected. A lot of that is, thanks to Peace's just insane brain. But yeah, that's kind of the background. Jess, maybe I'll throw it over to you to.
Yeah, I mean, I think big picture, we're just generally fascinated with the ways that value is created and captured at the social and cultural layer. And I think that's really been the driving force behind. I mean, we launched out of the social token meta back in 2020, and it feels very much sort of aligned with that. And so I think this idea of Seed Club being in a place where we can continue to drop interesting things that allow us to, continue to learn together and hopefully have a pretty big impact on. I mean, this is the crazy thing, right? We're not involved in Zora. Zora's not involved in this whatsoever, but a group of people can come together or align around something, and we'll see what impact they have. Zora Network has a very small TVL compared to most other L2s. It's just under 20 million. They didn't have a DEX. There isn't this whole sort of culture of I think it actually feels kind of weird to think why saw some messages being like, well, why the hell is Zora Network launching a DEX? They're an NFT platform. So I just think it's an interesting right place to go do something. And I've been just blown away by the memeability of this. People are jumping in, and I think the channel's at 4,500 people right now. I know there's a lot of people out in the DMs asking when token, etc. I think as we sort of dove into it, we realized that the data around Zora is actually a really big challenge to get. So we're just taking a little bit more time to get that part right. It's very, very close. So I think we're aiming to have something out early next week for those of you that are waiting. I love the messages being like, can I go to bed now? Can I go to bed now? Are you launching it soon? The high level, just so people kind of can wrap their heads around the intention here, is to do sort of a multi-stage airdrop. I think what we saw with DGen was really powerful. This idea of how do you go get an early group of people in and then have them involved in the continuous sort of distribution of tokens for some period of time. We're really eager to put the initial sort of airdrop in the hands of people who are, have been active on Zora as creators and as collectors. I think defining that is sort of the work that we're continuing to do right now. But really, I think the goal is to see how do we create some flywheels here that actually really start to, reward creativity and creation and doing those things on chain. I just love the idea of Enjoy. Like, you might see some of the responses to people asking when token or asking for more details on things, and the responses from the account are just Enjoy. So I know, PC, you have a great line around what Enjoy is for. I don't know if you want to riff on that.
I don't know either. It comes and goes, but the basic premise is just about the blitz of information that you get online and the way it feels when a million things are happening that you don't understand, and that combination of euphoria and anxiety, and actually it's just a fun mantra to be an enjoyer. Price goes up, you can enjoy. Price goes down, you can enjoy, and do things that are safe for you, but don't be here for any other reason than to just enjoy it and be with something new.
There you go.
And something old, maybe. Like, this is so calming. Like, this Uniswap front end. This is
Because
like
V2 life.
Yeah, and this logo, even like, there's no way they don't use that anymore, do they? No, it's all smooth, and they made it safer or something.
Never heard a UniV2 pool in a nascent network be described as safe, but actually, I guess that is. Uniswap feels safe. It does. It's relative to everything else that's out there.
Also, this feature, I'm sorry, I just have to share this. This is crazy. I don't know if you've seen this before, but this is awesome. This token list feature, has this been around?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
I got to make some lists. That's just a cool thing to share. Like, you just choose.
It's a way for them to keep people somewhat safe, or at least like curate tokens that, you know, they expect people to transact with. And if you put one in that they don't recognize, just they drop a warning saying like, this is an unrecognized token. Are you sure you want to be doing what you're doing?
I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want. I want the unrecognized tokens.
But can I send the list of tokens to a buddy?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't think so.
I think there's some way to import it. So yeah, I think you can.
Oh, add a list. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't know, fun. Anyway,
I'll browse some lists.
Fun idea.
Also, roll being
that was weird.
One of the two default options.
That's why I think it's like, is this just like a leftover code thing? Yeah, compound and roll.
Select roll and see what happens.
Good question.
Ooh, there are no tokens.
Not looking good. Okay.
There are no tokens left in this list.
Can you select browse, go down to whatever. That's okay. We don't need to get locked.
Oh yeah, browse lists.
So there you
go.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Look at us rediscovering UniV2
I know,
and Uniswap. It's that part of the cycle. So yeah, I guess the TLDR on enjoy, like for right now, just enjoy. Keep those memes coming. We love all of you who are posting those things. We're gonna have some more information maybe through the weekend or early into next week. Have no fear, the enjoyonomics will be very well detailed before anything goes live, and really aiming to make sure this is as fair a launch as is possible in the adversarial world that is crypto. We get some wonderful people working on it. So I guess the last thing I would say is, like, if you don't have ETH on Zora Network, you should probably do that if you want to come hang out with us here. There is a bridge that Zora has. There's also, I think, Relay from the Reservoir team that kind of allows you to bridge from different L2s if you want to go do that. My guess is most of you don't have a whole lot of ETH on Zora Network. So if you're trying to get that off an L1, find the low gas prices, because good God, has it been expensive. This is the thing, man. I just had this sort of, I've been interacting on L2 so much over the last little while, and then I went back to, I don't know, what was I trying to do? I'd buy something on L1, and I was just like, just had this visceral reaction to both the, like, oh my God, why is this $70? And then I was like, this world is so different now compared to where that was a very normal feeling 2 years ago, 18 months ago. And the fact that the vast majority of people now will be doing transactions that are in like the sub-dollar, if not, sub tens of cents in the next little while, is just going to be such an accelerant to the activity.
It's actually insane how much mania there was alongside $100 gas fees. Like, that just doesn't make any sense looking back on it. And I think,
and also just think about so much of the funding and like where people are putting attention, we're really driven around there needing to be this sort of massive upside or large dollar flows moving through it. And the fact that isn't necessary right now, I think is just going to allow for people to, I mean, it's why all these social apps are working. It's why I think it's just still an underrated part of sort of the evolution of infrastructure in crypto. And I think a lot of people are still stuck in an old mindset, and we're going to be kind of blown away by the intensity of usage as the world comes back to us here.
Wow,
agreed.
That relay bridge was chill.
Yeah, Reservoir's they're a boss team, man. They just continue to build some pretty cool stuff. So
that's sick. I gotta try that. Yeah, I was scrolling interface earlier and was seeing a bunch of Zora deposits. So people are preparing.
If you're bridging over, take a screenshot and drop it into the Enjoy channel just to show people that they should. We need to help people make sure. Like the risk here is like if you don't have something on Zora Network and the token launches, like there's going to be a smaller audience of people that can participate, and you just don't want to be. You want to make sure everybody can come in at the same time, right? Like that's the thing. You don't want to have like this huge disparity between the people who are paying attention early versus not. So enjoy.
Just enjoy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Can we shout out? I just want to shout out Anushka for making my favorite meme. I just want to put it up on screen. I just think it's so funny. It's just so awesome. It's like that just captures the feeling of a new token so well. It's beautiful.
Sick.
Yeah,
love it. All right, cool. Let's jump to decentralized social. So the decentralized social just continues cooking. So I think there were a few news items this week that are worth touching on, digging into a little bit. I think one is obviously transactions are coming to frames. They dropped kind of the proposal. I think they've iterated on it a bit alongside some feedback, but I think, something to talk about there. Also, I think this is maybe end of last week, but Solana address verifications are now live, which is very sick. And then the third thing is that Lens announced that they're finally going permissionless, allowing anyone to join. So I think maybe let's start off with transactions. I think, interestingly, through our interviews this week with teams, again, many building on Farcaster, think about how to leverage it. Transactions, this like transaction unlock just came up pretty frequently. So, Jess, you want to kind of jump into your excitement around them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the fair criticism around frames so far is just like returns an image and like how cool is that? And so and then I think there's some doubt around how. Like if you're sort of initiating transactions within an app, are you all of a sudden stepping into some challenging spaces with, App Store, let me say regulations is not the right word, restrictions. And so I think, seeing the slow and sort of steady approach, I think the Farcaster team's been taking to try to get this right. There's been a bunch of dev calls on it. And I think right now it looks like it's sort of, that Farcaster is going to continue to be a reader app. And it's going to be pushing sort of transactions to sort of, you can initiate it in there. It will be sort of, I think, settled in there, but you'll be engaging through, I think, the Coinbase wallet SDK, or at least we're seeing a lot of tight integration between those two products in an interesting way.
I think they said Rabbit Kit. I was looking through the like V2. Okay. Or Rainbow Kit. Sorry.
Interesting. Okay. Hearing different things, but anyways, I think the idea is like, it's going to be this ability to transact within Farcaster is going to unlock a bunch of new iterations for people to figure out how to make that smooth and interesting. And I think like the approach they've taken there feels very safe and I'm just kind of excited to see what people go build with it.
Yeah, I think it blows open the design space pretty significantly, right? Like you can, a friend could like share a meme coin and you could just like ape into it in context, or you could use a DeFi protocol in context. You could send peer-to-peer payments, like bet on, Perl could now like facilitate real bets through a frame. So I think, there are a ton of new unlocks here. And I think, we just continue seeing the power of removing steps of the funnel in crypto. And this is, removing a bunch of them. So it'll be cool to see what happens.
I'm super eager to see what people start to do on Lens. Because, it's a meaningful different network, different sort of tech stack.
Yeah.
I think there's sort of like, still suffers from like a lack of density around users. And I think there's a bunch of apps building on top of it that have come out and are really making a big push now. And I think feel a lot less constrained by the slow onboarding process that was existing before. And so I think my bet here generally is like that developers and what they build will be the main driving force behind sort of the success of waves. Like if you look at Farcaster right now, I was checking out the Dune dashboard today. It's very clearly coming back off the high of sort of 2 weeks ago. And it's in a consolidation phase. And I think, likely what we're going to see is like folks like what Alex and Perl are building there, where there are just these new experiences that really become more powerful because of the social context. And that's going to bring people into Farcaster or, whatever that sort of breakout app is on Lens, I think will be the major driving force. So clients is sort of like the base, but likely the things that get built on top of it is like the reason for people to come in and try new things. And I think Lens is just one compelling social game away from seeing a major uptick in usage over there.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're seeing just so many other new, like other attempts at this as well. I think in the consumer crypto channel, David posted something about 0x People, which is kind of like a block explorer meets your social graph. I dropped off in the sign up, so I don't really know because it was, man, there's too many blocks in the way for me to actually go sign up where I have to tie all these things together. But I think there's something interesting there at 0x PPL.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, the chill people.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think Farcaster, after they went permissionless, I think like 10x their user numbers over the next couple months. I think Lens is starting from a much bigger base, so we'll see what happens there. But I dropped a tweet showing that, you know, they've seen a massive uptick, obviously, since going permissionless. And I think really it's cool because it means, you know, there've probably been a bunch of improvements at the protocol layer to improve, like, you know, like spam reduction and content moderation and all this stuff that was kind of a prerequisite to them going permissionless. So yeah, excited to jump back in and see what they've improved recently. I think, again, it just continues to coming back to their need to like own the social context in some like valuable niches like Farcaster did. I think it just like continues feeling like a bit of a content wasteland to me. But yeah, I think to your point, like a solvable problem if they can have some killer apps that pull people in.
I mean, Farcaster felt like that to me until it didn't, right? I think that's the crazy thing. It's just like, the question is like, how long does it take to get that together? So we'll see.
I mean, yeah, they just need to continue retaining developer interest, right? Because at some point, like as a developer wanting to leverage an open social graph, do you go to Farcaster now or do you go to Lens? And once that switch flips, it's hard to.
Can you go to both? I don't know. I think that's what the chat's asking. Can we be? No, but I mean, like cross posting. I thought I was saying composting because the screen is very small for me. But we're talking about cross posting in the chat right now, and
right. Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's interesting, right? Because like the early days of social, there was a ton of cross posting that happened, but you start to see these networks kind of developing their own cultures, right? And I think it feels very awkward to post something cross post something from LinkedIn to Twitter. It kind of still feels awkward for me to cross post something from Twitter to Farcaster, but definitely less so. Actually, I usually will test something out on one or the other, and then maybe bring it across if it does well.
I mean, that's how I felt with Threads, right? It's like I don't want to tweet to my Instagram social graph. Like that doesn't even make sense to me.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I think one other point here is just Dan was on Moment is End this week, and they did a pretty deep dive into like the past, present, and future of Farcaster. And it's just, if you're interested in decentralized social and the state of the space and where it's going, I think it's well worth listening to. He's very just, you know, candid in everything he talks about. And I think my biggest takeaway maybe is just this kind of like ongoing trade-off that they're dealing with between protocol development and product development, and like the tension between, you know, very rightly recognizing that the thing that developers want and users of Farcaster want right now is like continued novel feature set and more distribution, which really like requires them to focus on Warpcast, but then also recognizing that, you know, they can't go too far in that direction and, you know, lose developer trust, and really recognize that the massive opportunity here ultimately is for Farcaster to be the like underlying social graph of the internet, and Warpcast is only, you know, as valuable as they hope it can be if that's true. So just this kind of constant tension there is I don't envy him being in that position.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty good at making those calls so far. I think that they also have this culture of really building a really small and very effective team. I don't think they're definitely not over 20 people right now. I think it's full time.
I think I feel like it's 12 people or something. 13.
Yeah. And so thinking about how that scales is going to be interesting to see as well, because that's sort of like a phase of a lot of crypto companies that start to get a lot of traction and excitement. They start to bring in, you know, these much more bureaucratic or more, I guess, traditional tech type of cultures into it. And I think you just see Dan really trying to set the cultural tone to be something different than that. And I guess the question is, like, does scale and growth ultimately necessitate a change there, or can it be good? So I think there's going to be like a reflection point on culture and business building here as this company continues to build out. That's going to be interesting to look back on.
Big time. All right, cool. Let's jump to Blast. So yeah, probably everyone is very aware of this, but Blast went live early yesterday morning. And it's, you know, dominated Twitter headlines. I think a bunch of.
One day you will have to answer to the children of the sky.
Sorry,
it is.
that's the
we hadn't
Blast
had one of
users.
We hadn't had one of those. We hadn't had one of those in a while. Peace. Thank you for that.
So sorry.
No, we love it. We love it. But I think love their tactics or hate them. I think they've just like put on a masterclass bringing an L2 ecosystem to market. Like ultimately like the two things builders truly care about, or most crypto builders specifically, is liquidity and distribution, and they've just like relentlessly run at getting both, right? Like initially they leveraged Pac-Man's reputation and obviously intense speculation games to have $2 billion in liquidity from 200,000 plus users waiting for this for mainnet to go live, and then they leveraged that to attract thousands of builders to launch Blast native products, or at least integrate Blast into their existing products for day zero. And a core strategy is this big bang competition that they ran, which they're using to distribute, I think, half of the airdrop to early projects. So they've touted over like 3,000 applications from builders, which is amazing. And I think they ultimately selected maybe 50 to 100, don't know the exact number, for winners. But what's cool is they're actually distributing Blast to these projects for them to then distribute to their users. So, not only did this attract a ton of builders, which they obviously wanted, but it's also driving a ton of attention to the actual projects on the ecosystem, because, people now know that they have liquidity on Blast. There are a bunch of Blast points. They know these projects now have Blast bags. So there's kind of just like layers of speculation, attention games they're playing.
It's so far and beyond that. Like I went and transferred from the staking contract onto Blast mainnet last night, and you get brought into a bit of world building, and then you land on a page. I was just trying to find the screenshot for it, but I can't find it right now. That's basically showing it's basically a gamified L2. It's going after those exact two things that you're talking about. One, it's like stake to earn points, and that points number is ticking up pretty steadily, and there's sort of like a streak type perspective to it. But then they drop you into like basically a big list of apps that have launched on Blast, and they're creating this sort of feedback loop where if you go and do things on those apps, you actually earn gold, right? So for all these points haters out there, you're not going to love this, but like it is compelling for users. You cannot, I think Blast is going to prove this out. So this idea that if you go and do things within these apps, you're going to sort of earn at the network level as well. And sort of this like go-to-market distribution stack along with liquidity, as you describe it, and just making that so easy and obvious. Like, here's like a list of apps that you can go click and you earn points and you earn gold. And the hint is that that's going to represent sort of, value or airdrops in the future. Through this sort of that program they ran at the beginning there, they're giving out a bunch of gold and points to these projects, and they're like, projects, you can hold on to those if you want, but a lot of them are using it to sort of spark growth within their own app. So, and then if you look at the referrals, it's Ponzi-nomics wrapped in a beautiful user experience, and it's kind of like just the most, beautiful maybe is, I'll use the word beautiful. It's beautiful in a degenerative way, right? Like, I don't know, but like it's really showing like a very explicit product that's talking about like clearly where the value gets driven in these networks right now. It's about driving liquidity. It's about driving usage. It's about getting new people on board. I think a lot of products kind of like maybe have a reticence to step into that. It feels kind of, I don't know, dirty to a degree, or maybe it's not ideologically aligned, but I think the world's just been blown open with this because momentum and proof points and people actually doing things are going to prove that out. And, from what we're hearing and when we talk to a number of teams, like the last 6 months ago was not remotely on the radar of a network to go launch on. And right now it's very much a thing that I think we have a number of projects that are launching on already, and many are supporting. And, it's going to be one to watch for many reasons.
Yeah, 100%. They're just, they're building, they know who their target audience is, and they are just building the thing that they want, right? It's the, in this like emerging L2 ecosystem of, I don't know, base being the kind of, I don't even know how you describe the like builder scene that they have there. Zora's the culture chain. Like this is very much the like gamified fucking degen casino chain. And people want that. People fucking want that. So
Zora's New York or LA and Blast is Vegas.
Yeah, that seems right.
Somebody should do a whole like what chain is what city thing. They probably have. It probably exists. Like what's base? Base is San Francisco. Base feels very San Francisco to me.
It's got to
gotta be fast. Optimism is maybe like,
I don't know. It's kind of got a Seattle vibe to it.
I was gonna say Seattle. That's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Drop your chains as cities ideas in the chat. Yeah, let's jump on. So this one, yeah, I like this tweet by Roble that, you know, he's talking about modern software companies. He's showing how modern software companies are becoming lifestyle brands. And you know, we've talked both about this, and also the inverse is also true, where, you know, with the emergence of open protocols and increasingly powerful AI, like now lifestyle brands also have the opportunity to expand the surface area where they're, you know, serving their communities and step into becoming software providers. So I actually tweeted this just before this, but like people stopped consuming generic opinionless media a long time ago, and I very much think that, you know, we're moving to a future where people are going to stop using generic opinionless software and are going to want themselves represented in the software they use. So, you know, I think this is why we so relentlessly talk about the importance of projects being memetic. It's why our slogan at Seed Club is build something people want to be a part of. And ultimately, it's like really why we're so excited about consumer going forward and why we think there's such an expansive opportunity here.
Yeah, because it's sort of driven on this consistent decrease in the cost and difficulty of launching new products, right? And I think there's this whole meta around what the impact of AI will have on product development. And you start to see it in like some of I think I was listening to the All In podcast a while back, and Chamath was all about this idea of like, you know, why to spend, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on B2B SaaS seats when, you know, I could go in and maybe just replicate most of that with you know, the support of AI, reducing the cost. I don't know how realistic that is today, but you can sort of see that happening. And if we look at the crypto landscape, where it's this, you know, series of open source contracts and tools and infrastructure, you know, we just had Alex talk about, you know, the infra that he's able to go build on to be able to bring these products to life in a much, you know, quicker way are very real. And so, if you start to draw that out into the future a little bit, you think that, you know, that there sort of will be more of a generic stack that people are building on, and that what is like the unique differentiator on top of it. I think it's a sense of belief and brand and lifestyle. And you know, Roble's been around for a while. I think he's
What's he doing now? He was Shopify guy.
I mean, something about this gets me so fired up, because I actually think that this is like the long tail of like design studios exiting their style onto people. And I think that this has been a trend for a long time, where it's like blanding, you know, when brands lost everything, like that was just as much of brands becoming a lifestyle thing. That was a response to people's taste. That was a response of what people wanted. And that's coming back around, or the style is changing a little bit because people want that. But I think that it's more of a sign that it just becomes a basic necessity. And I think people are over indexing on it being the actual value. Like, I've downloaded a lot of cute software lately, and I'm back to like vanilla iCloud, like vanilla Mac stuff. And I think that is actually more on trend with people's experience than like getting the cute one. But everyone who sells cute shit loves this. So, and I make cute stuff, so I like it too. But it drives me crazy.
It's clearly not it's clearly not enough, right? Just a cute wrapper on top of something is not it. I think that's like this sort of sense of belief. Like, there's identity. Arena is a great example, right? Like, there's just such an identity that goes with the type of person who's curating to Arena, and even with Superhuman, right? Like, they've gone after very clear types of guys in their approach there. And so, yeah, I think a lot of the stuff is table stakes.
This is the thing. Like, I read this post on It's Nice That, and it's like this designer saying like AI can't give you good taste, and like if you're a good designer, you need more than just the skills to make something. It's like that has straight up always been true, and like AI gives you the exact same access that Google does. And I just think things actually like Arena and Pinterest have done more to destroy good design than AI has or could ever do, basically. And like, I don't know. I think there's this. I'm going through something, and there's this weird fundamental misunderstanding that we all have with this new era we're entering in, that it's got me twisted up.
Wow, we haven't had a good peace rant for a while. Let's go.
That was sick. That
All
was
right, we know
great.
the buttons to push moving forward here. Let's let me get into my AI generating phase here and we can get going on taste.
Okay, let's jump to valuing tokens. So this is, I mean, kind of an instigated thought from the Chris F post this week. Okay, let me get into this. So Chris F dropped a good post this week that just really just describes how different of like an economic realm we exist in, tokens exist in, crypto exists in. And I just constantly see people negatively reacting to the market cap of tokens and, comparing them to market caps of traditional companies. And it's just so incredibly stupid because I don't know, I think we need to just completely throw out our existing ideas about market caps and completely reimagine them for this new world. Because in the traditional finance world, the market cap of a company is just entirely a function of expected future cash flows or whatever, some like financy thing, right? And then, a business can only grow their capabilities so fast, and the markets they play in have real world constraints. So there's some like real upper limits to the market caps of companies in given markets, right? And that's just like fundamentally not true here. In a token world, a market cap's a function of attention and belief, and these flow at the speed of information on the internet. And $1 billion market cap for a token that was launched a month ago that is dominating the attention of a bunch of very affluent and online people that are consuming tokens of products is just completely reasonable. And it's probably actually going to seem incredibly low in hindsight in the future. So I think this just perfectly captures it. It's just like, you can't even, these are just different things entirely.
Yeah.
This is so, even if you don't buy WIF, at least you can enjoy it and it'll make you laugh. Spirit Airlines makes you feel miserable and you pay for it.
I mean, I think I sort of look at so clearly there are examples in the traditional finance world where DCF is not the driver of value, right? Like you look at Tesla, for example, right? There's sort of like this hope and belief. And I think that's really what has just really been unleashed in tokens, right? There's you wrote a great piece, man, it's probably over a year ago on the meme utility spectrum that was kind of getting at this, right? This idea of like, the more you describe the specific use case for it, the more somebody can, the harder it is to sort of live in this world of pure memetics. And, it's memetics are full of potential and it sort of like feels like its own fantasy land. And as soon as you start to land it in like, okay, well, we should, back this token with the TVL or with the NAV or, with how many users are going to be in here, people sort of get out of that world. So I don't know how much of this is sort of like, I think it is clearly true that there's, the liquidity and global reach and sort of this ability to participate has created significantly higher multiples on whatever perceived value things might have. And that I think will persist. I think the question in my mind is really like how, in the world that Chris describes, it really is a function of attention. And I don't think you sustain attention unless there is some sort of like underpinning mechanism that is going to drive demand over the long term, or at least it's going to be a very small number of assets that ultimately can live in that pure memetic space. Yeah. And we see that in NFTs. You could probably name the top 3 or 5 NFTs, and probably many of them don't have, they sort of just have like a large collector base, and there isn't sort of an ongoing need to support them. I think, Derek from Collab Currency has a really great piece describing sort of like the digital products that don't have dependencies on teams. I think, Doge and Shiba and, maybe Bonk and WIF are sort of live in that zone. But I think for many, the wrong take to sort of step here is to think that it's only going to be memetics that ultimately drive it. And I think what discounted cash flow does, it kind of gives this base layer for people to be able to actually put some things into spreadsheets, to be able to convince themselves of some sort of value. And it kind of creates a floor there. So I think my belief is that these two worlds need to come together. But I think where most people get it wrong is the belief that you can start off with the DCF calculation and really aren't realizing that it really is an attention game, and that attention, if done right and if gotten lucky, is able to kind of give us the opportunity to go build the rest.
Yeah. Well, they're social systems more than anything else, right? Like the reason that, people are using DCF to value equities is because people are using DCF to value equities, right? And here, because attention dominates and belief dominates, you can, use future belief and future attention as ways of measuring the potential for a token, right?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to think about what that measure could be, because I think if I was going to go set and forget, if I'm going to put $1 million into something and set and forget in crypto, that's maybe Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm not sure if I'm going much further down below that, but there's probably like 100 companies that I would very happily own $1 million in and have a high degree of trust in their ability to kind of continue to print money over the long term. So, but I think you're right. The core idea of like, these are very different things people are going after, and you don't want to mid-curve it, and mid-curving it is trying to compare it to Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, I saw another one. It's like comparing, the world market cap now, or world coin market cap is now larger than OpenAI, which, obviously people hate, but what you're going to do.
Yeah, welcome to, the answer is just enjoy.
Just enjoy.
Yeah, just enjoy.
End show.
Give me one lightning round that we can.
Okay.
Yeah, Peace, pull up the Finny one.
Oh, damn. There was a racer tweet that was really good, but yeah, I guess we'll miss it.
You got to screenshot the racer.
You got to screenshot racer tweets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Finny, who came through our last cohort, they've been working on this pretty cool kind of social kind of relationship deepening product where you're a one-to-one chat you have with someone basically is like nurturing and growing this Finny character, and they help kind of guide the chat with like interesting questions, and it's a pretty kind of fun, novel social experience, and it's been in closed beta for a while. I think they've been pretty excited by the usage and excitement around it they're seeing, and just recently opened it up for public use. So recommend going to check it out.
And it's a great example. Like that, we're excited about Finny because of like the emotion and attention were able to capture around these sort of cute characters that had sort of data feeds into them. And I think there's sort of like, the real question I think in a lot of people's minds is like, what comes next from that? And I think they've really pulled that same feeling over into in a really interesting way. It isn't about a place. This is not the place where you're going to go and try to get broad distribution on a new product. It's a place where you're going to get, deeper connectivity with some people that maybe only digitally. One way to look at it is maybe like an alternative sort of dating app, or maybe the thing that you get into. It's like Tinder plus this is the chat would probably be like the killer thing, really. Like this idea of getting to know people better and doing it in a context that just feels more, I don't know, sparkly and soft than the open internet. And I think that we're
it's
talking
cuter
about
for sure.
Definitely cuter. Josh and I were using it in the early days, and feel so much more connected to you now, Josh, than I did before because of this.
We got in a call with Sam. He was like, "You should probably try it with like your girlfriend or something."
Yeah.
and not each other.
It, but yeah, it's like but yeah, you should go give it a try if you need somebody to talk to, and if you want to get. I'm very happy to go deeper with you, so you can add me there. But pretty stoked on. I mean, Sam's just a wonderful human being, and
he's a gem, yeah.
You should follow if you want some like good counter.
I feel like is he tweeting these days?
Oh, he's tweeting,
right.
But it's a locked account, so you kind of have to be on the inside to get it. But it's a great counterbalance to the general crypto Twitter vibe. So. There is truly nothing I enjoy more than designing products and completely stripping it. I don't know. He's got his account locked, so maybe we shouldn't go through his entire feed here.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right, folks. We're over time here. This is episode 18 of Internet Explorers. The chat has been pumping. We got a lot of great responses to your rant here, Peace. So if you're watching us over on Twitter or on LinkedIn, I love the stats on LinkedIn that keep ticking up from 1 to 2 users. 7 users are just around the corner. But appreciate you coming and hanging out with us. Go join the Enjoy channel. Drop some memes over there. We can have some more news for you next week. I don't know. We feel like, are we back? I think we're back. Interface is popping off on me. I have a hard time. I wake up to a bunch of notifications. Y'all out there doing some weird stuff on chain, which I love.
We're back.
We're back. Yeah. I mean, there's so much else going on, but let's leave it there.
It's going to be a big week.
It's going to be a big week. We'll see you next week.
Just enjoy.
children.